U.S. President Joe Biden calls for unity to root out systematic racism amid rising chaos between law enforcers and the people. India continues to record highest single-day COVID-19 deaths as its hospitals lack ventilators to support patients. And Gambia Police Force partners hold seminar to boost police operational activities amid rising criminal acts. These and more coming on the world today. Do stay with us. Good evening, viewers. This is the Today World Newscast with me, Sohna Tunkara, here on Africa TV. And now to our news in detail. President Joe Biden has urged Americans to come together to build trust between the law enforcers and the people they serve. Biden, who was addressing the joint session of Congress on Wednesday, said the country has seen the knee of injustice on the neck of Black Americans. We have more of that in this report by Binta Fati.
America has witnessed several cases of police brutality, mostly of Black and colored people. Since the Biden administration took over, the country has seen tremendous development in the race-related issues. The recent conviction of George Floyd's murderers has been hailed by many as a step in the right direction for a country that has a history of racial injustices. On Wednesday, President Biden addressed the joint session of Congress ahead of his 100 days in office. Commenting on the issue of racial injustice, the president said the country has seen the knee of injustice on the neck of Black Americans.
Fellow Americans, we have to come together to rebuild trust between law enforcement and the people they serve, to root out systemic racism in our criminal justice system, and to enact police reform in George Floyd's name that passed the House already. I know Republicans have their own ideas and are engaged in very productive discussions with Democrats in the Senate. We need to work together to find a consensus. But let's get it done next month, by the first anniversary of George Floyd's death.
The discussion at the joint session of Congress were mainly focused on the achievements of the Biden administration, the issues of climate change, and America's relationship with both Russia and China also took center stage. To Joe Biden, the U.S. and Russia can cooperate when it's in their mutual interest. He cited matters of nuclear arms and climate change as the areas they could cooperate on. For our Africa TV News, I am Binta Fati.
From the report by Binta Fati, we move on to the matters of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, where the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mama Fatima Singate, on Thursday appeared before the Commission to help in its truth-seeking mission. Ms. Singate's testimony was based on the human rights violation, the powers used by the former president to push political opponents during her service as the Justice Minister and Attorney General, as well as illegal prosecution of civil servants. Mariama Cham takes us through.
Legal practitioners during the former President Jammeh continued to give testimonies before the TRRC on Jammeh's creation of laws that were not in line with the Constitution, as well as their interference in the judicial system. Investigations from the TRRC had that Jammeh did use laws that were not in line with the Constitution to prosecute civil servants under the directives of Madam Singate. Appearing before the Truth Commission, Mama Fatima Singate, who served as the Attorney General and Minister of Justice during Jammeh's government, says she was never aware of any laws prosecuting anyone during her service.
First, the laws that we use at the Attorney General's chambers are enacted by law.
bunti loi ci don ministre ci to wale loi ak atte ci rew mi liko wéralon nak moy loi.
I don't have any evidence of any law that is used to persecute anybody.
amuma nak ben loi bo xamne ni nak muy firnde bo xamne ni depo na loi yi nga xamne mom lañ doon jël pour atte ko nit.
There's a rationale and a reasoning for any law that is enacted.
dana de am nak dalil bo xamne ni moy tax ci ben loi bo xamne ni dal dinañ ko samp.
So I cannot go into the details between the rationale behind any law Usually those are provided in the objects and reasons of the bill that is presented by whoever is going to move that bill before Parliament.
Numa dem na xoot nak ci lan moy dalil yi ben ci loi yoy non way nak lolu mu ngi aju rek ci ñi nga xamne ñoo doon kañtu nak bill bobu non pour naka lañ koy taxawale mu nek loi.
And when it comes to the making and enactment of laws,
bu ñëwé nak ci ni ñoy défaré ak ni ñuy taxawale loi,
Parliament or the National Assembly is responsible for that.
Despite the fact that the President has no mandate to give directives to the Ministry of Justice, the Office of the President under the Jammeh regime in several circumstances is alleged to have given executive directives to the matters of prosecution. During the tenure of Mama Fatima Singate, several violations of human rights, including illegal arrest and detention of citizens and politicians, occurred. The witness, however, refuted the allegations, saying everything she did during her service was in line with law.
Yes, it was normal. It was normal. Perhaps your own perception is abnormal, but the way I saw it during my time there, what is within my knowledge, it was a normal system done in accordance to law.
Doxil mi de jaadu woon na xëy na yow sa gis-gisi bopp mooy nekk daal jaaduwutoon waaye nag man suma gis-gis mooy liggéey bi mu ngi doon dox ci anam gu wér ak ni nga xamee dëppoo na ak yoon.
The ministry was within my control.
Ministry bi si suma roon la nekkoon.
And I can tell you that everything I did that was within my control was done according to law. I have no control over what anybody else does. I have control over what I do. And what I do is always in accordance with law.
Mama Fatima Singate is a Gambian lawyer who served as a judge in the High Court and the Court of Appeal between 2009 to 2013. She served as Minister of Justice and the Attorney General between August 2013 to 2014 and again from January 2015 to 2017. Madam Singate is currently serving as the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the sale and the sexual exploitation of children. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
From matters of the Truth Commission on Gambia, we move on to the global front. India has reported over 3,600 people died with COVID-19 on Wednesday, the largest single-day death toll since the pandemic began. India's health system is on the brink of collapse as the country continues to record the world's biggest COVID-19 daily cases, where hospitals across India are currently struggling to provide medical assistance to patients amid lack of ventilators and hospital beds. Details in this report. There is a split scenario unfolding as the world battles the pandemic. In countries like the United States and the United Kingdom, jubilant, newly vaccinated people hug their loved ones after a long period of separation. In India, distraught families count their dead. India's deadly COVID-19 second wave has devastated big cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Lucknow. Hundreds of funeral pyres could be seen burning on Thursday at a crematorium in Samapuri, northeast Delhi. Hospitals and crematoriums have run out of space, and funerals are now taking place in car parks. But the pandemic has now firmly gripped smaller cities, towns, and villages where the devastation is likely underreported. So far, the country's coronavirus cases as it stands is more than 18 million, with a death toll of 204,832. The rise in case numbers has been exponential in the second wave. On 18 June last year, India recorded 11,000 cases, and in the next 60 days, it added 35,000 new cases on average every day. On 10th February, at the start of the second wave, India confirmed 11,000 cases, and in the next 50 days, the daily average was around 22,000 cases. But in the following 10 days, cases rose sharply with the daily average reaching 89,800. Sick people are being turned away from hospitals that have run out of beds and oxygen as the number of new cases rises to record levels each day, creating a national crisis with global repercussions. India is currently experiencing an unfortunate situation. Now, joining me now from Turkey is Salim Saidi, one of iAfrica's editor, to expatiate on India's current situation. Welcome, Mr. Saidi. And to begin with, can you take us through the situation in India? What is the latest update we have so far?
Well, Sona, as you said in your preamble, India's health system is on the brink of collapse. The second most populous country continues to record the world's highest COVID-19 daily cases and deaths for the past few days. Hospitals and crematoriums in major cities like Delhi and Mumbai have been overwhelmed. Now, these hospitals are currently struggling to provide medical assistance to patients and, of course, amid lack of ventilators and hospitals beds. Now, the capital, Delhi alone, is reporting one death in every 4 minutes. So India is facing a healthcare crisis in its modern history.
Despite the couple of measurements that were put by the Indian government, what do you think is the major cause of this surge in numbers?
Well, so there are a combination of factors, but according to WHO, the wave of COVID-19 infections in India is the result of a perfect, what they call perfect storm of mass gatherings and, of course, more contagious variants and, of course, low vaccination rates. But critics blame the religious festivals and, of course, packed election rallies for India's surge in cases over the past few weeks. Earlier today, millions of Indians voted in final phase of marathon polls in West Bengal state, despite the staggering spike in infections. So these factors have contributed largely to the surge of cases in India at the moment.
Many countries are currently undergoing vaccination. How has the international response been? Are countries helping India to control their current situation?
Of course, leading global economies have started mobilizing resources to help India in its crippling health sector. In fighting the crippling health sector, the country's Foreign Secretary Harsh Shringla told reporters earlier today that 60 countries have pledged their support to supply oxygen and, of course, other critical medicine. As we have been seeing in the media, oxygen is one of the most important things that the country needs at the moment. So UK have already sent medical aid on Tuesday. US and, of course, several other EU countries have also pledged to help India. Even their neighboring country, Pakistan, have also pledged to support India in their fight to mitigate the situation. Well, I would say, Sona, India is a country in mourning. So any help that they can get from anywhere in the world will be appreciated.
Mr. Saidi.
You're welcome.
That was Salim Saidi, one of our editors, speaking to us from Turkey on the current situation that India is facing with. Now, the European Union has unveiled a plan to encourage more unauthorized migrants to return home voluntarily and to help people better integrate with development aid once they get there. Speaking at a news conference in Brussels, the European Commission's Vice President, Margaritis Chinas, said 500,000 migrants were refused entry into Europe in 2019, while only 142,000 were returned. The new strategy also foresees visa restrictions to uncooperate countries across to take other citizens back. We apologize for that technical error. Now, the South Sudanese government says it is out to support local farmers to improve their farming activities after years of struggle, mainly due to years of civil war coupled with natural calamities. The country's agriculture ministry will request funding from the World Bank to provide farmers with farming tools to enhance their activities. And the United Nations is urging the government to focus more in promoting agriculture to improve the living condition of millions of people.
Relentless rains last year led to flooding in most parts of South Sudan. Lots of livestock and crops were washed away. 6 years of civil conflict have also disrupted agriculture, and the United Nations says there has been an increase in cattle raiding, which resulted in loss of more livestock. Now, South Sudan's government says it wants to support agriculture by providing farm inputs such as chemicals, seeds, fertilizer and equipment. The long years of civil war left many here injured and unable to carry out work that requires physical strength.
Some people actually are not able to access food, not because of their own fault. They may be disabled. They may be actually people who do not have the means to cultivate or to cultivate enough.
The Agriculture Ministry says it will seek the funds to provide the farm inputs from the World Bank. Most farmers in South Sudan practice subsistence farming, where they use traditional farm tools, grow what is enough only to feed the family for a shorter duration of time, and they depend on natural factors such as rains. The United Nations says about 1.6 million South Sudanese people are internally displaced and depending on food aid. It is urging the government to do more in order to promote agriculture in the country.
We're asking for the government to support those areas by providing those communities with more land so that they can grow more food for themselves, whether they are refugees that South Sudan is kindly hosting in this country, or whether they are displaced South Sudanese who cannot yet go home to their own land.
The Ministry of Agriculture says it plans to distribute seeds, fertilizers and tractors to farmers. However, the UN warns that without durable peace across the country, no amount of equipment or materials given to farmers will resolve the country's food crisis.
From that report, coming back home, the Gambia Police Force, together with its national and international partners on Thursday, held a consultative seminar to review and strengthen the police force operational activities in the country. The discussion was centered on strategic direction and transformational roadmap for the country's top security apparatus. Our Mariama Cham files in this report.
The main role of the Gambia Police Force is to maintain law and order in local communities by protecting people and their property, preventing crime, and improving the quality of life for all citizens. Senior officials and their partners gathered to brainstorm about issues ranging from how to better serve the communities to rule of law, governing the police force, amongst others. Key among issues discussed is the relationship between the police and the society they serve. The Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mamadou Sow, underscored the importance of the seminar.
The rationales for today's consultative seminar is to create and maintain an operational harmony between the Gambia Police and its esteemed stakeholders, to focus on new strategic directions, whereby eliminating unnecessary duplications and improve coordination, collaborations towards achieving our common goals. The importance of today's gathering cannot be overemphasized, as it creates a platform from our esteemed stakeholders to register their valuable concerns and contributions into the said strategic document for a better comprehensive, effective coordination, as well as to enable them align their activities with the said blueprint to ensure local ownership on their development intervention supports.
Chief Superintendent of Police Fode Fofana says technology is key in their work, as heinous crimes are being committed by criminals using technology.
Another model that we wanted to adopt is technology-based policing. We'll all agree with me that technology is everywhere. And in fact, criminals are using technology to commit highly sophisticated cross-border crimes, highly sophisticated domestic crimes. So police as an institution cannot do away with technology. We have to use technology to boost our operations. We have to use technology to implement our constitutional mandate in a more effective and more efficient manner, because police can't be everywhere. And since we can't be everywhere, that means that now we have to use technology to be able to monitor crime, prevent crime, and then try to also boost our investigation capabilities and capacity to be able to apprehend and curb crime.
Aside from technology, Chief Superintendent Fofana adds that proactive policing led by intelligence is another aspect that helps police in tackling certain issues.
The days of firefighting policing are over. The days of reactive policing are over. But we are going to have proactive policing that's going to be intelligence-led. And therefore, we give more preference to capacity building in intelligence, gathering, analysis, processing, so as to inform police operations. We believe that there are many other incidents that we can be able to tackle if intelligence is actually working for us extremely well.
According to the new strategy, no part of the society will be left behind, as they believe that every member of the society can help the police in executing their duties. The police are the first body people approach in case of any crime-related issues. They also register first-hand information reports and are responsible for the maintenance of public order and peace. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
From the report by Mariama Cham on the Gambia police devising means to boost their operations. We'll go with a short commercial break and the news continues. Stay tuned.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put in to constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back. If you're just watching, this is the World Today Newscast here on iAfrica TV. And to the remaining stories, technology startups and engineers in Tunisia are set to unveil a constellation of satellites in the African continent for the next 3 years. The landmark technology breakthrough has been embraced by the North African state, who vows to support the initiative. The project is made by only Tunisian graduates from public engineering universities. Here's more of that in this report.
Challenge 1 will have a transmission capacity of 250 kilobytes per second. It marks the beginning of a future constellation of more than 30 unit satellites that Telnet plans to launch within 3 years in partnership with other African and Arab countries.
Our next goal is to launch a future constellation of satellites for the African continent to offer Internet of Things services. This is the future of technology. We want Tunisia and Africa to keep up with changing technology. Our engineers can make this dream come true.
Tunisian Foreign Minister noted that the state will support its technology startups and engineers.
We're proud of this historic achievement for Tunisia. Satellite was developed here at Telnet and on our soil by local engineers. Many countries around the world have offered their congratulations to the Tunisian government. Tunisia is a country of innovation and creativity.
Anis Youssef is one of the most talented engineers in Tunisia. As head of innovation activities and new products at Telnet Group, he has supervised the design, development, implementation and launch of Challenge 1. Many women have contributed to the success of the first Tunisian satellite mission. Among them is Serine Ouaneni, who is a development, test and validation engineer.
This project was made by 100% Tunisian competencies, where all Tunisian engineers who graduated from public engineering universities were proud of this achievement.
Telnet Group says Challenge 1 is designed to transmit data from connected objects. The satellite is equipped with thermometers or pollution sensors, location chips and humidity sensors. The data from these devices will be accessible in real time, even in an area without internet coverage. Its mission will last from 5 to 7 years. According to Telnet Group, the design, development and successful launch of Challenge 1 has lasted more than 3 years of research by young local engineers. The tech company invested $1.2 million in the satellite project.
Ugandan authorities have urged the World Food Programme to purchase food products from local farmers to feed refugees in the East African country. Officials of the UN Food Agency are, however, concerned about the quality of the food produce in Uganda. The humanitarian organization is also struggling financially to adequately respond to the refugees in need.
Mealtime at this refugee camp in Midwestern Uganda. The rush is for this maize meal and beans. It is what the refugees here eat daily. Most of it is imported. Now, Uganda is demanding that the UN World Food Programme buys food from its farmers to feed these refugees.
We are going to cause no procurement of food from outside Uganda by the World Food Programme. Let the money remain here. Our farmers there are a lot of food around here. Cereals are there.
The World Food Programme, however, says it purchased over 110 metric tons of locally produced food in 2020. But there are concerns over Uganda's capacity to meet food standards.
One of the issues to tackle there, Honourable Minister, is the issue of the poor quality of post-harvest handling. This is the only reason why, despite investing for several years, we have not been able to purchase locally in Uganda.
Last March, Kenya banned the importation of Uganda's maize flour over safety concerns. The food crisis is growing, with the World Food Programme struggling to provide food for the refugees. Last December, the food agency was forced to cut its rations by 40%.
When we do not have the needed resources to provide the food that refugees require to feed them on every single day, we are forced to apply ration cuts. The ration cuts are applied in a way that still allow us to provide sufficient energy and calories to keep and sustain lives. And this is the primary focus of that. So as we go forward, depending on the funding situation, you will see ration cuts going up and down.
The World Food Programme says it requires $221 million to end the cuts to more than 1.2 million refugees who rely on assistance to meet their daily food needs. The continuing growth of displaced populations in Uganda is driving an increase in the demand for food. And with limited supply, small-scale farming interventions that encourage the production of vegetables and staple foods are being promoted in the settlements, at least until when the UN Food Agency can fully restore the full rations.
Well, that was all from me and the rest of the crew on the World Today Newscast. You can catch up with Mariama Cham on Gambia 24 for more national news at 2000 hours. I am Sohna Tunkara. Thanks for watching. Have a nice evening.